specializing in the area of marketing, both in industry and agriculture. He comes with his experience in the industry for about 15 years, and now for about 15 years in the academia. He worked with many institutions across the district, and some of them are graduate school business. Now he is here with us to share some of his experiences and thoughts on consumer behavior, and very particularly addressing on the impact of advertising and promotion on consumer behavior. To add up his profile, he has published a book on turmeric pricing risk, which is a very popular and well-known, well thought about on the pricing forefront from the agriculture perspective, and very particularly focusing on the turmeric. And it may look like an agriculture book, but if you read it, you will understand how a marketing can take up in a different perspective from agriculture. Because we learn many things in our ancestral histories, and how the exchange systems and all those numerical values have been changed from the regular to what we have in the digital world. So with this small brief introduction to our Mr. Rasul, I welcome you, sir, and I welcome all of you for this wonderful session. Thank you very much. Thanks for the introduction.
Advertising and promotion on consumer behavior.
Now, advertisement has become a sort of menace from consumer's point of view. If you ask a child is more interested in advertisements rather than in programs. But as we progress with the life stages, you ask him, you may not be interested in advertisement. Selectively, you would watch advertisements, but otherwise, he's not interested. But an industrialist would be more interested in seeing an advertisement rather than a program. Time has been changing, and we have more media to expose the promotional aspects of the marketing. We have come out from monologue to trialogue. What is this monologue and trialogue? I'll explain later. Now we have various avenues like social media marketing, apart from your conventional marketing or promotional tools like TV advertisement, print media, outdoor media, indoor media, internet, email, word of mouth, mail marketing, direct marketing, personal selling, various forms have come now. All those are conventional. We will see the recent developments and its impact on consumer behavior. So the consumer behavior as a topic is very vast. Analyzing the consumer behavior is the most important task of a marketer, be it a product or services. Understanding the consumer behavior is very, very important. When we say consumer behavior, and just slightly touching the conceptual aspects, and I'll move on. So don't worry that it may sound like a classroom, please bear with me. See, when it comes to consumer, we are also consumers. When do we buy a product, or how do we buy a product? Do we buy a product for our own uses only, or do we buy products which are influenced by others? There are so many roles we play. When we say we act as an initiator, how a consumer acts as an initiator? Probably your friend may suggest you to buy a brand. He says, Louis Flip is good. Quality of Louis Flip is good. Buy Louis Flip. Okay, you buy Louis Flip. So somebody initiates, somebody buys. Now, as a marketer, whom I should target now? Should I target the person who is buying it, or should I target the person who is going to initiate? You may not be knowing it, but you should have it in your mind when you are preparing your promotional components on those areas. Sometimes you can be an influencer. Who can be an influencer? In a family, probably, wife will be mostly influencer. She will say that, see, so-and-so has purchased this product and said that it's good. You buy Godrej refrigerator, you buy Panasonic air conditioner. my sister's family or my neighbors, so and so, really have used the product and they're very satisfied. So influencer. Now the marketer has to understand to what extent it can target influencers to promote their product. So influencers are also very important. Now comes buyer. Obviously, buyers are as important as others because you go buy the product for your own utility. When I say buyer, you make the decision, you are going to use it and you are buying it. This is different from initiator and influencer. The next comes user. Your son may use it, your daughter may use it, your father may use it, your brother may use it, but still you go and buy the product. When the decision is given to you, you buy it. So some of the advertisements, if you just see, are focused or targeted towards the user. Okay? Who may not buy the product, but they are targeted towards user. Why? User in turn will request the buyer to go and get the product for them. Or the buyer will buy what the user says. Sometimes your son says, you get me only Horlicks, don't get me Bonvita. He is going to use it, he is going to drink it. So he will go by what the user says. He may not go and decide to buy what drink he wants. So user becomes important. These are all the different roles of a consumer which the marketer has to always bear in mind. As a marketer, you should always look into the significance of a consumer behavior on a day-to-day basis because market is very, very dynamic. You have a mobile phone which is latest more than a week. Can anybody have a mobile phone which is latest for more than a week? Week itself is an exaggerated period. But next day something comes with an added feature with some price variations, some package variations, something new keeps coming. So market has become too dynamic for us to understand. Hence, understanding the consumer behavior on a day-to-day basis has also become very, very significant. Now, as a marketer, if you just look into the decision-making aspect pertaining to the advertisement and promotion, you have two dimensions. One at the micro perspective. Micro perspective is looking at an individual about his preferences, likes, dislikes, his usage pattern, frequency of usage. All these components you look into an individual. This is called as micro perspective. Societal is at large, a larger picture. How a society gets carried away by the trend. So when you analyze a trend, you look at the society on the whole rather than looking at the individuals. You may say that obviously individuals' contributions lead to the society's contribution or society's taste. It cannot be so. There is nothing called majority when you assess individuals. Okay? But you have to cater to this requirement as well. But when it comes to society as a larger picture, you also look into the trend. Trend is what? Pattern of behavior over a period of time. Okay? People were buying pages during 90s. From pages they moved to mobile phones. Mobile phones were looking like bricks at those times. And then it moved to a different formulation which was handy and we had in the pocket. Now you know what has happened to it. We are not using mobile phone just for our communication. It has got multiple uses now. So that is the transformation the society at large has seen as far as mobile phone is concerned. So this is what a marketer has to look into while making a decision to determine his promotional strategies or advertising strategies. Now, if you have a son, brother, anybody at the age of 15 to 19, you one day sit and watch the way he browses through things. Or you just look at his tasking. He'll be just sitting, playing Facebook, chatting with the Facebook, he'll be watching TV, he'll be talking to his friend over phone. All these things he'll be doing it at a time. Now during this time, advertisements featured in the website, advertisements featured in the TV. Probably he has something with some printed material on the table, which has some advertisement, and he gets something on the Facebook also. So what he is doing is multitasking. At this juncture, if a product has to enter his mind and stay in his mind, just remember how much, to what extent it has to create an impact. That's the kind of generation we have now. If you are targeting any product for the youth now, a general study states that youth between 15 and 20 are into 7.5 hours of such type of activity. Multitasking, 7.5 hours of multitasking, which is equivalent to 11 hours of the conventional type of focus we had. We, in the sense, 25s, 35s age group people. It's different now. They keep shifting their attention. Do you think it is good? Do you think it will have a positive impact in the choices they make? Definitely not. Definitely not. They have become impatient. It is very important to understand the behavior of youth of the day if a marketer has to determine the kind of media he wants for his product, targeting at them. It's very, very significant to understand the psychological aspects and the behavioral pattern of today's youth. Because tomorrow he is going to develop himself as a different personality, still going ahead with his multitasking ability, and evolve as a buyer later. Then you have to address his style of viewing advertisement. How many of us have patience to listen to FM advertisements? Okay, no, continuously keep giving advertisements continuously. Songs are played for 3 minutes, advertisements are played for 5 minutes now. Until some regulations come, it's going to be minutes, quick minutes. And advertisement at various forms are hitting us every day. Okay? Sometimes we reach it, sometimes they reach us. We get phone calls, okay, for credit card promotion, for real estate, for investment promotions. For all these things, we get phone calls now, we get direct mails. And when you open a website, we have popping up advertisements this side and that side. We go sit and relax, watch TV, then we have advertisements. See, during 80s, not late 80s, I remember we loved to watch advertisements because we had the patience to see an advertisement where, of course, models were looking very good. We understood the jingles, a song that comes. Even that has become very fast. Now you're not able to follow what jingle it is. What is the song that comes? Everything is so fast that we don't understand. We don't catch. But the next generation is able to catch it. So they just narrate and say, no, this is the product they are trying to talk. So they have become very faster. So now the trend is, are you able to catch the attention of our browsing? Our browsing, they keep on moving the websites, see the page, Facebook, get into TV advertisements, all at one shot they do it. Okay? So a marketer, if you are a marketer, you have a bigger challenge of attention scarcity. If you are a marketer planning to promote a product, you have this problem again. Particularly if you are promoting a textile, say for example, textile product for youth, something like jeans, a t-shirt, or a belt, or a shoes, or a mobile phone. Okay? You have all these problems because you are encountering a consumer who is multitasking, who doesn't stick to one thing, who is very dynamic, who is very fast, who keeps changing his requirements, who keeps changing his tastes. It's very difficult to identify and provide them what they require. Positioning becomes very difficult. I hope you understand what is positioning. Okay? Positioning is what a company would like to create in the minds of the consumer about them. So some companies would like to position their product as the cheapest one. Cheaper products with the best quality. That would be the positioning. Some company position as the elite product for those who look for class, for those who wanted class, for those who are concerned about image. So it gives image boost. Okay, such type of positioning. Likewise, you have plenty of products with different mindset and different positioning keeps coming to the market. So fragmentation of media and the challenge, okay? But if you just look at the consumers, we see so many advertisements, irrespective of the age group, no? Even at the age of 75, 80, 90, they watch advertisement. They are not immune to advertisement. They keep seeing it, they don't mind, they keep seeing it. And remember, they are able to pick products, they are able to recall advertisement products. Any age group, you call a small boy and ask him, he'll say this is advertisement, this is the product. You see the jingle, you will identify the product. It is very easy for them to identify the product because they are keeping up with the pace of advertisements and the advertisers. Okay? Now, a study states that consumers face 5,000 to 10,000 brand messages every day to various forms. How much a human brain can have, how much a human brain can remember, to what extent a marketer can determine his media selection. Just imagine, everything is very, very challenging. We find a solution problem. Okay? And we have now few things coming up like customer relationship management. Is it not? What is CRM? CRM is basically for what? CRM is basically to establish relationship with the customers for a long time in order to develop loyalty. They are also successful, they are also doing it. How is it possible with loads and loads of messages coming every day and still able to establish relationship with the customers? It's a big challenge and we need to understand that. So Professor Robin Ganga from Oxford University he has done a survey, he has done a study and has identified that human brain can manage 150 relationships. When I say relationship, it is trying to identify the product with the promotional concept. When you say for adult owners, it is for some higher-end cars. So when you say for, you can do it, it's attached to a product. And for Nike, you have a caption. And for Philips, you have a caption. For Bajaj, you have a caption. For Maruti, you have a caption. Like this, human brain can manage 150 relationships with the products. Human brain can remember. This is average, not the best. This is average. On an average, if you are able to identify, that's why brand ambassadors have become very important. You remember Shah Rukh Khan for some product. You remember Aishwarya Rai for some product. You remember Ranbir Kapoor for some products. Their only models have become very significant. They are very important because you are able to identify the product with the brand ambassadors. Okay? So on the whole, to just analyze market, one big marketing problem is some of increasing fragmentation, decreasing consumer engagement, tighter budgets. Now the CFOs, they have a big headache with the budgets because advertising is one intangible aspect which a company's top executives have to encounter. They cannot really show, okay, you get this, you give this. That is not there, it is totally intangible. So always when a CFO decides to sit on the advertisement budget, it's a challenge for the marketer as well as for the decision-making people. And most of the marketing team, it becomes a big challenge for them because it is very difficult for them to convince the CFO and go ahead with the advertisement budget. More activities in more channels, and channels are clogged with so many products, the advertisements, and greater security from CFO. CFO curbs, no, not possible. You don't have budget, that's too much. This is too repetitive. Frequency is more. He has his own ways and means to curb and reduce the budget on promotional activities. But one thing, promotional activity can only bring revenues to the organization. That they bear in mind. So, if you are taking too much of measures to avoid risk, then you get into a major risk of not doing any business at all. Okay? So that is always there. dimension now called social media. Needless to tell, the role played by social media of late and how it impacts the organizations of the marketer. We have some examples. So what happened is, once after the Toronto Film Festival, International Festival, just two people tweeted that there are bugs, bed bugs in these seats allocated for theaters to portray the premium shows, no? Bed bugs are there, they tweeted. A lot of inquiries pumping to the organizers, questioning about the cleanliness and so many things, because we only have such type of VIPs entering the film festival, no? Then they made so many attempts to separate things, in fact, and prove themselves that it is not fact. The process took almost, say, 35 to 45 days, and around 11,000 calls have to be answered by the organizers. This is one thing. It is for us to understand to what extent social media can create an impact in the marketers. Then this is another thing where a consumer, okay, a consumer in a Facebook just wrote this. I was being back to old user's patterns. This is about the napkin which is used for the kids. No? For some child, it developed rashes. Product is from Procter & Gamble. Pampers is a brand promoted by Procter & Gamble. Somebody wrote in the Facebook this. Plenty of products are returned. Plenty of stocks were returned. No? Market was returning a lot of products back because somebody wrote in the Facebook and around 11 lakh consumers happened to know this. Because it just goes with the circle, you know, the kind of viral marketing goes on with the product. And then they made a lot of efforts to again separate things, and they have to tailor make their promotional stories in such a way to prove that this doesn't have anything to do with the rashes that are created, and stories like that. It took a lot of time for it. Another thing, a consumer called Dave Corral, he is one who writes songs for the Sons of Maxwell team. No? He writes songs. What has happened is, once he has traveled through United Airlines, and the crew who was handling the luggages mishandled the guitar which he was having, so broke the guitar. This man eventually went for compensation. Almost for 3 to 6 months he fought with them, could not get any solution. He is a writer, remember, he is a songwriter. He wrote a song with the topic United Breaks Guitars. Okay, this song went in YouTube. 11 million people saw this, and ultimately it took a lot of time and pain for United Airlines to get back compensation for this man and then separate the issue that was prevailing with this guy. It affects business. So today's social media is very, very powerful. This can be dangerous as well as advantageous. All depends on how a marketer handles this media is very, very important. So I was talking about the relationship between brand and consumer. During those days, we were just watching advertisements. If we liked the product, we purchased. If we didn't like the product, we just left it. So it was a monologue where only the advertisement spoke to us and consumers listened. It was one time. Then came the customer relationship management. When companies thought that the individual relationship is more important with every customer. So what happened? Apart from the advertisement, they started establishing relationship one-to-one with the customers. So they have this customer loyalty program, privilege cards, discount cards, all these things to establish their contact with the customers for a long time. Okay? Creating a customer is very difficult. Retaining a customer is easier. In fact, it only takes 50% of effort for an organization to retain the customer rather than going for a new customer. The amount he spends for creating a new customer is at least twice or thrice more than to retain what they spend to retain a customer, existing customer. So existing customers are very important. In order to maintain the relationship, something called dialogue prevails. It is one-to-one between two. Now, with social media, I buy a product. If I don't like the product, I don't go to the marketer and say that I don't like the product. I go to the social media and say that I don't like this product. Some 1,000 people give likes on Facebook. They give likes. Some 50 people give their comments, share their experience. So what happens? From 1 to 1, from 1 to 2, it becomes 3. Okay, myself, media, and the marketer. So now a marketer has to be aware of 3 dimensions: consumer, marketer, and the social media. This is the providing solution now. So if you just see, companies have to ensure true brand advocacy. You have a bigger court for you. Anything goes wrong, you have a court called public opinion. Okay? Public opinion has become very, very significant in today's marketing scenario. Public opinion comes in various forms: Twitter, Facebooks, YouTube, whatnot. Okay? So this is the current trend. Marketers have to bear in mind when they advertise their products. So, what kind of solution we can look for? If you start analyzing the problem, there is no end to it. We have plenty of problems from different perspectives. The consumers have his own views, marketer has his own views, and the media as such have their own issues with that. Now, we have listed 3 things which are very, very important. A marketer has to take care of. Whatever may be the product, whoever may be the target audience, whichever may be the medium, any medium, you see if you are giving value to your customer. What is value? Benefits to the cost they pay. Okay? Cost and benefits, they should perfectly match. Balance between cost and benefits. If your benefits are more than the cost you give, then you have more value. If it exceeds beyond that, customers are delighted. Beyond satisfaction, you call it as customer delight. Beyond delight is what value creation is all about. You might have heard many people talking about value creation. It is only that. You create value in your product or services. Then you have to give visibility depicting the value you are providing. Visibility in any form. Because depending upon the product, you select the component for visibility. Depending upon the service you offer, you select or you choose the visibility factor. And voice is communication. How strongly you communicate, how crisply you communicate is what matters today. So a consumer would like to listen to you, but he doesn't want you to talk a lot. He doesn't want you to talk too much about his product. He doesn't want you to talk too much beyond the requirement of his desires. So voice also becomes very, very important. To take care of these 3 factors, probably you can manage customers. And you have to look into the behavioral dimensions, 4 key behavioral dimensions that make companies stage. One is spatial, which is nothing but refers to the physical location, where it is communicated. And the most important factor is timing. When there is an RD offer, everybody talks about RD, pre-RD discounts, post-RD discounts, during RD discounts. You'll be listening now because RD is coming now. Okay, so timing becomes very, very important. And always be aware of individual importance, interests, desires. You see to that you address them. Okay? consumer is really personal, fact and valuable. Because your message should reflect, your message should carry something for him. Then you have an eye on these things as well, about the cultural aspects of the consumers. So those three factors with these four dimensions, if you're able to match on these lines, probably you will strike a chord with the consumers. Okay? Thank you. I have one clipping. This is by Musings Airline. Okay. It's a full advertisement. They just wanted to communicate to the person called Mr. Smith a message, but by the time he boards it, so the entire crew goes there and they arrange themselves. The pilot gives the message that he has to look outside, and when Smith looks outside, they just form these words, Mr. Smith, it's a ball. Okay, so this is the message which says that how much they care for the customers. Okay, and this is of course it is fictional, but explained in a very, very beautiful way. Amazing advertisement that I got and definitely enjoy. Queries for me to open. Ask queries.
What basis the budget for the marketing or the budget for advertising as decided? Is it based on any percentage of revenue or is there any criteria or how is it decided in general?
There will be something called forecast. Budget is basically based on the forecast you make. Forecast particularly on the sales. Okay? Because sales is the revenue. What you get out of sales is the revenue. You make a revenue forecast. Now, when you are allocating an advertisement budget, probably most of the companies would like to have 30 to 40% margin. Okay, they cannot exceed beyond that. You have other things. Between 30 and 40% of margin, they plan the advertisement budget or promotional aspects. Otherwise, they will be spending more on advertisements. That also companies, some companies do this because they will wait for the next year to come to get the returns. But nowadays, they cannot wait for such a long time because products keep changing, trends keep changing, technology keep changing, people's taste keep changing so fast, and you have competitors. So market is very dynamic. It becomes very important for the marketer to determine the time frame. That's why I said time is very important. And generally, 30 to 40% of their profit margin they try to utilize for expenditures on advertising. It's a general trend.
So would you say that viral marketing has overtaken all other forms of marketing today?
I don't say that it has overtaken, but viral marketing is getting a reach beyond imagination. You all know what Collaborate has done. Okay, it was a hopeless product, hopeless song with no meaning at all. That song did not deserve this kind of attention from the international community. But the simplicity of the song, the language, particularly the language with which the song was spelled, and first of its kind to get into viral. Okay? And time factor, everything helped for the concept to reach. In fact, MSN, website network MSN was the first one to plan viral marketing for the first time. They were the first company to go ahead with viral marketing. Very successful they were. We all do not know because we only know Paladari. Paladari is the first one to get viral marketing. Because we keep reading in newspapers that the concept of viral marketing has picked up like anything, and Dhanush has become a hero overnight, universal hero I should say, overnight. And so the reach viral marketing has got is phenomenal. But still, it is not yet established that you can 100% depend on viral marketing. Viral marketing can complement your other mix of the medium. Other promotional mix you can complement with viral marketing as well, if time being.
In other words, what you're trying to say is that in viral marketing you have to focus on an attribute, not on a particular product itself. If you focus on an attribute which is fairly universal, then viral marketing can be a hit.
Precisely. No, it all depends on what you see. I took this concept of viral marketing and gave it as a graduate course to my students in Janssen School of Business. I gave an exercise to them. When I finished teaching them the concept, I told each one has to create your own viral marketing assignment. In the sense, some of them had their own personal business. Some had their investment companies. Some had two-wheeler service centers. Some had four-wheeler service centers. When you try to viral market your own entities, some of them I suggested to viral market their own profile and just see how many view it, how many hits to reach, hits, we got it as hits, number of hits. For your own products, companies and services or your own profile, I gave them 30 days time. It's not very easy, okay? Viral marketing is not easy as we think. A lot of networking has to be done in order to have the viral marketing keep going. Okay. One student came with the best hits of 700 and odd hits for his two-wheeler service station. He was owning a two-wheeler service station. So he was the one who got the maximum hits, and there was conversion as well. Inquiries were coming, people walked in. I never expected. I thought I'll give some practical experience for them to understand viral marketing better. But fortunately, that clicked for him. Only for one person it really clicked. The one who marketed the profile of him did not get any. But for his friends who visited his website and saw his profile, nothing else clicked. That's why I said it all depends. But you can give it a try. That's why I said viral marketing can complement your other forms of media mix or promotional mix. But certain things like the song, song was ideal. It just went on like anything. Similarly, I think the individual profile also will have a better reach. Probably how you take it up becomes more important. You can catch the employer's attention with some few catchy words which may draw their attention. It is very difficult to get someone who is good enough to be employed. Though unemployment prevails at a large scale, very difficult to get an employable person now. Companies are fighting hard to find one and retain one. Finding is little tougher, retaining is even more tougher. Because by the time he learns something and goes to the next person, he is hired by somebody else. He keeps moving. Companies spend so much on training a person, giving him all necessary skills, salary, time, everything, and he keeps changing. That's what is happening now. So viral marketing can definitely, maybe over a period of time with many factors can supplement the technology that we use in viral marketing, and probably could outbeat, say, after 3 years or 5 years. Most probably, in 3 to 5 years, viral marketing may gain attention. By the time we'll have plenty of crowding. As now what you see in the other video, there will be plenty of crowding.
How do you see advertising
Advertising?
in healthcare sector? So
Healthcare.
ethical, it's not ethical of course, but
It depends.
how to-
Depends if it is educative in healthcare. Educative means you can advertise it. You cannot advertise like advertising hospitals and all. If you see a doctor's oath, no, they are not supposed to commercialize their services. So that is there, but your question is very broad. Healthcare means many things are covered.
Yeah, in general
You cannot advertise your services, but you can advertise your products, provided it is covered under over-the-counter group category. Otherwise, you cannot advertise. If you're advertising also, if you're, for example, if you're advertising an introduction of a new medicine, a combination, you should state that it is for the medical practitioners or for the medical fraternities. That should be that word should be there for advertising. That is there. Because self-medication, is very dangerous, and normally it is not done.
Social media is marketing anything. They handle the concept of negative marketing. When you talk about this Johnson's and Illinois, they promoted as a negative thing, and that is being published across the world, and the distribution center has been cut short of 33% distribution. And what do you feel about that, sir? It's, social media is only to create a negative market or a negative approach, not that as a healthy manner, the competition. Because we thought actually if we are putting a good thing, a website in a social market, it takes time to reach the customer. But if it is negative, my competitor, we have a company in US, Desikanj, they do that. They did it for Johnson's and Illinois.
Okay.
And the sales is being cut short for 33%. And how far you can tell us that social media is only for a unhealthy category?
That's why I showed those 3 examples.
Right, that's what negative
Twitter,
thing is.
Facebook, and YouTube, which all carry. But in all the 3 cases, only 2 were fake. We just take the case of United Airlines. Genuinely, they did not give the compensation that that person deserved. That is why he used it. But it is like a double-edged sword. You always have the negative effects as well. And it has something to do with human psychology also. See what today's media is doing. If somebody does something in, say, Guinness record, does that take place in the front page? No. If a murder happens, a whole murder happens, if someone is arrested for some wrongdoings, that comes in the front page. Because everybody wants to give cutting edge. No? Which is very bad. See, today's media, you just see a month back, how much of importance were given to the spot fixing affair of IPL. We were not concerned about it at all. All the news channels carried only about what Srinivasan is doing, what Srinivasan is, whom he is contacting, and what those players were doing. For an entire week, they were just going, because it is again a different practice, I should say. I don't know if it is right on my part to say or not. I got to understand that some media people got in terms with some politicians, and they were vigorously on promoting this and defaming this person because he is from South And obviously that's a blog post, being a BCCI chief. So that's one of the reasons like people's psychology is very important here. As a consumer, if we immediately go after some negative connotations, we definitely, because anything when obnoxious shown, we tend to look at it. That's human psychology. Sigmund Freud rightly said, human psychology catches something like this immediately rather than anything that comes positively. So probably that could be one of the factors. But continuous communication can definitely take care of all these things. Several things have happened to Coca-Cola and Pepsi, about the best factor in it, percentage. They have come out of it now. They are back to the same. In fact, they are doing more now.
So social media works in the other way around. For instead of just promoting our brand or our product, instead of that, if killing the competition, we can use it as, we call it like that, sir.
Yeah, the problem is this, or problem, I shouldn't say that it's a problem, it's a dialogue, where you have myself, marketer, and few people in the media who are accessible to the media. So the communication takes time to reach. Anything, good things can reach, bad things also can reach. How strongly you put forward and defend your stand matters a lot. Ultimately, you win. Then principles of natural justice and things like that are obvious.
So why should you say that they were trying to defame because he is from South?
No, I said I was told. I'm not justifying that he was right or media was right. What I was given to understand is that definitely there has been spot fixing, and this betting is going on for donkey's years. You just see all over the world, including India. All the players, we cannot spare anybody for that matter. All of a sudden, why it has to come up to the limelight? Just because one government officer could identify with some proof and get hold of somebody. This got blown out of proportion. My point here was, there were so many important factors to be covered by the news channels rather than this. That was my point. It was not to justify what Srinivasan did is right or wrong. That's my point here.
So we can understand that there is no value in social marketing, sir. What we are creating a brand. Can we call it like that? Instead of when you talk about other
Ultimately, one with value will stand forever. As a consumer, I would go by values. If you're a user, you go by values. You may spread as many messages as possible, but when a user, genuine user, is convinced, definitely he will stick to it. See, when you open a Facebook, you have few statements for it, few statements against it. How will you consolidate your statement is more important. Okay? So, value is something beyond negatives or positives, criticisms. How you communicate the value becomes more important.
What is your opinion about change of the consumer behavior over the years? And do you think marketers are strong enough to position their products in the minds of the consumer who are dying?
Definitely, marketers are strong enough because they have been promoting products of varied nature, targeting various types and age groups of consumers all these years. They know that if it is for youth, they have to give something very, very fast and to their taste. And the media mix they use for such products is also different. And for an investment product, they don't use all these media. They just show a TV advertisement or a printed advertisement which states that a retirement person will be happy after this many years if he invests on these things. There you will not find, even the moderns know, everyone will be different. The speed of the advertisement will be different. So marketers know the modality of advertisement and the media mix depending upon the product or services they offer. That's not an issue. The only thing is, the marketer has to understand the dynamism that's going on. Okay, when you are in business, you are too tied up with many things that you pay less attention to these things. You will get to know all these things after losing some amount. The price you pay for it is huge. Thereby you need to understand these factors, analyze, and then invest or spend your money on investments. That's my point.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thanks for the opportunity. I recognize the topic. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, it's a really wonderful presentation. I think he was handling this section with simple examples and some real things as he is taking a class in the college for students.
Very good.
wonderful,
You've been
sir.
very keen students of yours. Thank you.
Thank you so
It was
much.
really enjoyable.
I request his colleague from DRG to present him, please.
Okay.
Please.
Thank you.
Nice to see a good crowd today.